A couple weeks ago, I referenced the old radio station 107.9, The End, and I did that because at the first day of broadcasting on that station and the last day of broadcasting on that station, they played "It's the End of the World as We Know It" by REM on loop for 24 hours straight, and it made a lot of sense, I promise. It actually had a meaning, but I'm thinking about it again because the end of the world theme is really being heightened here in these last couple of weeks of the liturgical year, and this week especially. Next weekend is Christ the King, so it's not quite as dark or dramatic in the readings. This week is kind of the climax of the just the darkness, and in our gospel reading and in our first reading, in a particular way, Jesus talks about how the temple is going to be destroyed within a generation, right? And as he continues, he opens up just the reality that this world is going to pass away. There's going to be an end to the world, right? And it kind of dances back and forth between the reference to the temple being destroyed and the end of the world. And part of the challenge there is, for the Jews, the temple itself was a symbol of the universe. So, which part is he referencing? The end of the temple or the end of the world? And to a certain extent, it doesn't really matter because, Jesus prophesied the end of the temple, and he also prophesied the end of the world. And we're living kind of in between those two events. And as we come to the end of the liturgical year, the church holds these things out in front of us, just reminding us, our lives are going to come to an end, and the world is going to come to an end. It's not the end, but, those things are going to come to an end. Now, Jesus came to redeem everything, that, the whole world, in a sense, and those who place their faith and trust in him might dwell forever in heaven in a kind of a new way of existing. But the world as we know it is going to come to an end. That doesn't have to make us anxious. That doesn't have to worry us. For those who are faithful to the Lord, getting on the other side of that event is where they want to be, right? So we keep that in mind, that the fulfillment of the promise that God makes to us is on the other side of our lives, or the other side of the life of the world. So between the first reading and the imagery and visions that we hear from the book of Daniel, and the gospel reading where Jesus opens these things up plainly, we really ought to just take pause and think about the reality that our lives will end, the life of the world will end, and that's not the worst thing in the world. In fact, that's the only way to get to the other side and the fulfillment of the promises that God makes to us. The other thing I want to highlight, and I don't often try to hit all of these readings, but I think as we've heard from the letter to the Hebrews over the course of quite a few weeks now, there's a lot in there, and it's really a complex letter. It's a complex book of the Bible, but some things I think are just helpful to point out. And this week we see a distinction made between the Levitical priesthood and the priesthood of Jesus Christ. And the Levitical priests, they were from the tribe of Levi, and they go back to the time of the Israelites after they came out of Egypt, and God kind of sets them aside to live only for God, to recognize that God is their only inheritance, and they were the ones who would offer sacrifice on behalf of the people. So if the people came to the temple, or prior to that, if they came to the tent where God dwelt, and they needed to offer a sacrifice, the Levitical priests would be the ones to do that. And just a reminder, that's what priest means, the one who offers the sacrifice. But the thing is, as many times as people sinned, or as many times as they needed to be made clean, as many times as they needed a symbolic offering of giving themselves back to the Lord, a new sacrifice had to be offered. Well, that's one of the powerful differences between the Levitical priesthood and the priesthood of Jesus Christ. Jesus offers one sacrifice, one time, for the forgiveness of sins, for the grace and power to be reconciled with God and drawn back into him, and really as the way that we give ourselves back to the Lord. And so, when we come to Mass, any day or on the weekends, it doesn't matter when, it's the same thing. It's the same sacrifice of Jesus being offered on the cross, from the Last Supper to, his death and resurrection. It's him offering himself back then, right now, and that's the major difference. We're not offering something new. It's new for us because we need him again. It's new for us because we've fallen into sin again. It's new for us because our hearts are in a different place and we want to give ourselves completely over to him. But, we don't celebrate a new sacrifice. It's the same one that has the power and the promise to draw us into union with God, to be the offering of ourselves that we need as Christ has offered himself on the cross for our salvation. So, there's a ton going on in these readings and a lot you can pull out, but I guess you can take whatever is most meaningful for you, whether that be the offering of yourself in the Eucharist, recognizing that Jesus did it once and that's got forever power, right? That's got infinite power. Or, if you need a bit of a wake-up call, that your life's going to end someday, and the world's going to end someday. And how do I prepare myself by giving myself completely over to the Lord, that I might be united with him forever in heaven?